Hey guys, Joe here. Different kind of video today. Today we're actually going to do some repairs on a vehicle. This is a 99-ish Ford Taurus, sorry. And it surges at idle, it doesn't run right. I've done a little bit of diagnostics on it and I think I have a good idea on what's wrong with it, but I still have to disassemble everything, pull off the old part and test it. So, first thing you should always do, disconnect your battery. Even though this one's dead, this car has an electrical draw, you still want to do that just in case there's any kind of discharge. Now I did notice there is an aftermarket alarm system on this car, which could potentially be the draw, but it could also be the bad sensor. So we will see as we dig into it. You need to disconnect the mass airflow meter, might be speed density, I'm not 100% sure on this one, and uncouple this whole tube from the air intake. You can set that aside. Now there are two sensors in here which I'm going to show you, which are also cleanable, which might affect it. Now before I determined what was wrong with it, I started by cleaning this sensor as well as a airflow meter, or I'm not 100% sure what the hell it does on this car, but I changed that as well, or cleaned that as well. So just keep going, I guess. One way that you test is start the vehicle and then basically just start unplugging electrical harnesses. It's not as dangerous as it sounds. Yes, you could cause problems, but if the thing is already giving you a problem, it's not going to make much of a difference. So this is the idle air control valve, or this one is. I can't remember which one is which, but I believe it's this bottom one that's bad, because when I disconnect it, it doesn't affect the idle at all, and that could be a problem. When you disconnect this one, it sends the idle all over the place. So I'm thinking this one's still getting a good reading and the one down here is not. So I'm going to go ahead and disassemble this. As soon as I have it all apart, we'll show you what I'm working with. Alright, next thing we need to do is we need to disconnect the throttle, because this whole assembly needs to come off, and to do that safely you need to remove the throttle. Otherwise when you take it off it's going to go sproing. That's a technical term, by the way, sproing, just in case any of you were wondering. Alright, having removed these two bolts, I was able to move the entire throttle assembly over to the side so it sits out of the way. Again, take care, make notes, take pictures if you want. Never hurts to have enough pictures so that you know exactly where everything went. Worst case scenario, I can always rewatch this video just to make sure I'm doing it right. This wire harness, which goes to the coil pack, is held onto these lower two bolts with a nut. Removing that nut exposes the threads, which then exposes the nut behind it. So you need to take these four off, there's one underneath there as well, in order to gain access to the sensor that I'm referring to. Okay, so this is your idle air control valve, and as you can see by the date stamp on it, if it would focus, this is from December 28th of 1997, which means this is the original piece on this vehicle. Does that mean that it's any good anymore? No clue. Looking inside, it's real hard to see. I don't know if you can see in there because the light is bad. It's got quite a bit of buildup on the sensor there. And from what I can see, it looks like it actually has a little bit of damage to it. So I'm going to get some throttle body cleaner and clean that up really well, as well as the throttle body itself. Now this is just the throttle body positioning sensor. TPS, for anybody that's wondering. So I thought it was idle air, but it's not. That's just a TPS sensor, which could be important, but looking at the back here, you can see how dirty this thing is inside, how oily it is. So I'm assuming that the sensor inside is probably a little bit knackered. It didn't look as bad from this side, but I also didn't take into account the fact that this vehicle doesn't run very often. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that with as bad as the buildup is inside of there, it's probably not helping anything at all. So we will see what happens when I clean the snot out of it. Okay, so old part is off. I'm taking it with me to make sure I get the right part. I'm sweating profusely because yesterday got down into the low 80s. Today is in the, well, it says 78, but it's hotter than that. Trust me, it's hotter than that. It's like 914 degrees out. So yeah, anyways, so I'm gonna go get the new part and some throttle body cleaner, put it all back together and see what she does. So as a refresher, here is the old part, and it's so dirty you can't see anything. And here is the new part, and as you can see, you can clearly see down into there, you can see that it is not full of carbon buildup and it's nice and shiny. So hopefully that's going to fix the problem. I did also notice that they made a change between the generations. This one has a spring-based return on it. This one, apparently, if it has one, I don't see it. Actually, I do see it, so I'm thinking that's the problem. Actually, the spring is supposed to sit here in the middle. And on this idle air control valve, it is fully decompressed. So I'm thinking that was the big problem. So now I'm going to use some throttle body and air intake cleaner. And you should definitely use the right product for your project. Do not use brake cleaner. I've seen people doing that, and all you're doing is asking for a gosh dang explosion. So you want to blow yourselves up, that's on you, but I only recommend using the correct stuff. So we will now clean that and see how it looks when we're done. Okay, so as you can see, I've thoroughly cleaned it out, including all passages that I could get to as best as I can using the throttle body cleaner. That's baked on there, that's not coming off. But I did clean it out pretty well. There's still some residue on there, but that's unfortunately going to be that way because I'm not going to take a toothbrush to it. You'll also notice that I didn't spend like 8 hours cleaning the housing because it's not necessary. This car is, quite frankly, a pile of crap. But at least I cleaned off the blades, and hopefully the sensor will read it correctly. And as soon as it dries, I will put it back on. Okay, you've just sprayed half a can of volatile cleaning solution onto your part. Says it's fast evaporating. What do? You wait. You do not put this on right away. Let it sit as long as humanly possible. Let all the chemicals evaporate so you don't have a big old boomski when you start your vehicle. If you wind up with the big old boomski, you probably deserved it because you're probably stupid. So as soon as this dries, I will reinstall it. Alright, so now we're on to the reassembly. It's basically the exact reverse of what we did to take everything apart. You just got to be careful, take your time, clean out any passages, make sure the bolt holes are all clean, because if you don't, then you can get problems with torque issues where you're not able to torque down bolts. Make sure all your mating surfaces are nice and clean. Use a razor blade if you need to, and then just take your time, put everything back right. If you don't, that's where you screw up. Take your time, do it right. Those are the two biggest things I can say to you. That plus JFK was a conspiracy, but that has nothing to do with this. So after you install the new part, you are going to have to let the vehicle run for a while, possibly to let the computer relearn, also to allow any residual chemicals to burn off. So I will allow this vehicle to run for a while I get rid of all the stuff I used. So we will see in a few minutes whether or not it works. Okay, so I did all that, put it all back together, took it for a drive. Turns out it's still acting up. I also replaced the battery because the battery was really weak. It kept dying. Even though it was testing out, I think it had a dead cell in it, so it wouldn't hold a charge. And I went ahead and did that. Made it about 80% better, but it had been running so bad for so long and dumping so much crap into the catalytic converter, I think it finally killed it. So at this point, it needs to go to a regular exhaust shop, get a catalytic converter replacement, and hopefully that will fix the issue. If not, that car needs to go bye-bye. It's a lot of work for a 1998 Mercury Sable whatever. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching that video. Sorry I didn't have another video up today. Not feeling really well. Wanted to kind of relax on my day off, but I also needed to get this car running, at least emergency running. So that's where we are for now. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Any comments, leave them down below. If you like these videos where I actually do stuff, leave me a message and I'll be happy to continue doing them. Otherwise, I will talk to you tomorrow. So, see you later.